Hi, it's Carly McAvoy. I'm doing a series of finding the equation of a line given different materials to work with. The last video I did, we had 1 point and the slope. And in this video, we're going to be given 2 points, and we're going to find the equation of a line in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. I'll put links to a video where I do the same thing using the point slope formula, but for this video, I'm just using the slope intercept formula to find the equation that we're looking for. These are the 3 examples that I'm going to do, and let's get started. So I have 2 points, and I want to find the slope first because I'm always trying to find 2 things. What is the slope and what is the y-intercept? I don't like that little thing there. I'll come down here a little bit. What is the slope and what is the y-intercept? So the slope of the line, we're going to find that by subtracting the y's over the x's. It doesn't matter which one you choose to be your second point or your first point, but you have to be consistent. So if I choose this to be my second point, then -3 would be my y subscript 2, and 4 would have to be my x subscript 2. So I want to make sure I'm consistent, whichever one I choose. So I have -3, and then my formula says to subtract, and I'm subtracting the other y, which is -4. And negative makes that +4. On the bottom, I'm subtracting the x's, my 4 minus my other x, which is 5, and that gives me -1. And simplifying that tells me that my slope for this line is -1. So now I'm going to plug the slope, the x and the y value from one of these points into my y equals mx plus b equation. And when I do that, this one, it looks like I use the first point. So -4 equals my -1 is my slope, and then my x is 5 plus b. And then I would come down here and I would solve it. -1 times 5 is -5. And if I add 5 to both sides, I get b equals 1. But what if I had chosen the other point? Well, the other point would look like, the second point would look like this. I would have -3 for y. I would still have my slope as -1, and I would have 4 for x. And if I were to simplify that, I would get -4 plus b over here. And if I add 4 to both sides, I get b equals 1. So whichever point you use, you're going to get the same y-intercept. So don't get hung up on which one to use. I try to use the one that looks easier, but sometimes these look pretty much the same, so it wouldn't really matter. Once you determine your m and your b, you're ready to plug those in. And when I plug those in, I get my m is -1 and my b is 1. And probably what you would want to get to writing is just y equals -x plus 1. You don't need to show that 1 there. Okay, in the second example, we have a point -7, 2, and the x-intercept is 2. We have to determine what our 2 points are. We know we have -7, 2, but what about the other point? Well, if I'm talking about an x-intercept, then I know it has a y value of 0. So in that case, I'm going to get the point 2, 0. Once I know what my 2 points are, I'm going to follow the same example as last time where I subtract my y's on the top and my x's on the bottom. And in this case, I'm going to subtract 0 minus 2 on the top and 2 minus -7 on the bottom. Don't forget we have a subtraction and a negative. That's going to make that a plus, which is 9, and we get -2/9 for our slope. Now I'm going to plug in the slope, the x and the y values of one of the points. I just did one in this example because I did both before to show you that it didn't matter. But in this case, doesn't it look easier to plug in a 0 than to plug in all that? So I'm going to use that second point. Our y value over here is 0, and our x value is 2, and our slope was -2/9. So we're gonna simplify that. That looks like -4/9 plus b equals 4/9. Well, sorry, b equals 4/9 because -4/9 plus b is 0, and if we add 4/9 to both sides, we get b equals 4/9. And it doesn't matter which side of the equation your b is on. Now plug in the m and the b. Our m was -2/9 and our b was 4/9. So when I plug that in, I get -2/9 plus 4/9. If we were given the y-intercept, we would know b, which is the y-intercept, and we could find the slope using that point 0b if we wanted. So in this case, we were given the x-intercept, which has a y of 0, but a y-intercept would have an x of 0. So that's something to remember if you're solving those problems. Here's a graph of a person's distance from home, y hours, distance from home, y after x hours, sorry. So the hours are on the x-axis and the distance is on the y, and it says, are they driving away or towards home? Well, look where they are at 0 hours. They haven't started yet, and their distance is up here 300 something, right? So they're definitely driving towards home, and as time goes on, they get closer and closer, and just before 9 hours, they get home. Okay. So find the equation of a line, explain the given points, and find and explain the speed. So let's just take this point 1, 270. What that says is after 1 hour, they are 270 miles from home. That point didn't land exactly the way it should have, but it's telling us it's 1, 2. So after 1 hour, they're 270 miles from home. And the second one, after 5 hours, they are 110 miles from home. So that's what those points mean to us. We want to find the slope of the line, just like we did before. We have 2 points. Here are 2 points. I'm going to use this as point number 2. It doesn't matter which one you put first as long as you're consistent. So I have 270 minus 110. That's my y values. And then on the bottom, I'm going to have 1 minus 5. Those are my x values. And that gives me -4, which is 160 divided by -4 is -40, which tells us our slope is -40. The slope shows that the distance from home is getting less as time goes on. So our slope is negative because we're getting less. But if we were talking about the speed in miles per hour, well, you don't have negative speed. So the speed here is they're traveling at a speed of 40 miles per hour, but their distance is shrinking as time goes on. That's why the slope looks negative. Okay, plug in the slope, x and y value of the points. Again, we can use any point we want. I used this one. Y is 270. The slope is -40. X is 1, and I would just simplify that to find out what b is. To simplify that, -40 times 1 is -40. I would add 40 to both sides, giving me b alone over here, and 270 plus 40 would be 310. So my b is 310, and if I plug in my m, which is -40, and my b, which is 310, that's the equation of the line I'm looking for. And you can see here, we couldn't really tell what that is, but 310 looks to be about correct. All right, that's it for today. I'll have another video about parallel and perpendicular lines, finding their equations in the next video. Have a fantastic day.